Is Michelle McCool ruining the Undertaker's podcast? Is TKO's greed going to be the death of WWE? And who was the greatest wrestler of this year? All of that and much more will be talked about in this Reddit video, so please join us. First off, we have this guy talking about how his son was being talked about backstage, and as you can see, the sign is basically just a TKO call out, an ESPN call out, WrestleMania 43 call out, calling out everyone basically. And what he's saying right here is that this son was taken away from him and that he has been talked about backstage, which, I mean, honestly is kind of cool, but I really don't like the censorship. Like, they really are taking away signs, and I wouldn't be too surprised. The guy left 2 stamps here where he did show it on TV, which you can see right here. There it is. And you can see right here. There it is. And look, they deserve the call out. Whatever TKO is doing with the WWE right now is just not working. The ticket prices, the PLE prices for people watching on ESPN, like PLEs are now more expensive than pay-per-views were. Do you know how crazy that is? Do you know how crazy that is? And like, that's just the beginning. It's just the beginning, because they have said many times over about how they will continue to pump up those prices because they see more revenue to be gained from WWE, which completely makes sense from a business standpoint, but not from a human standpoint. I understand that us as wrestling fans will always watch the product, but we also as wrestling fans are not afraid to call out bullshit. Ask Vince McMahon, ask whoever you want. Wrestling fans have always been the first ones to, if you're not gonna give us something we want, if you're not going to decrease the prices, if you're not going to help us watch on ESPN, make it affordable, we're not gonna watch on ESPN. We have VPNs to watch on Netflix, we have the sailing the seas type of stuff, the One Piece stuff. We'll find a way to make you lose out on money while we still enjoy the wrestling. We are going to always enjoy it. And that's how WWE fans have always been. And I'm talking from a bird's eye view right here because I'm not from the US, I'm from Europe, and I have everything I could ever want on Netflix. And if it's not on Netflix, I can find it. I can find it on YouTube or whatever. And then I also have never been to a live show because there's never been any near me. So I don't like fully know how you guys feel, but I can get it. I definitely see. And I'm glad you guys are making your voices heard, and keep doing that. You know what I mean. Chant ESPN sucks, chant TKO sucks. We need them to hear us, we really do. Because all of this is getting way out of control. Why do stupid moves like these exist? Because it fits her character. I mean, what do you mean, why do moves like this exist? AJ Lee's character is all about crazy and unpredictable, and like this completely fits that. I'm sorry, it completely fits that. I don't care how bad some wrestling moves might look. I'm not the type of person who really cares about that. If I was, I might hate this too, but I'm not. I prefer the storytelling, I prefer characters, and this move really fits her character. So I'm not mad at it. And in the very least, I'm really not mad at it. Wrestler of the Year, Io Sky. Not Women's Wrestler of the Year, overall the best wrestler of 2025. When it comes to WWE, I would actually agree. Io Sky has been so amazing this year. Although when I look back, she did have a not so great reign as the Women's Raw champion, world champion, but in ring she has been amazing. I'm loving her character. Her feud with Asuka seems to be on a good path because they didn't take too long to break them up, and it's gonna be amazing matches, it's gonna be amazing everything. I can't think of any wrestler who I can confidently say has been much better than her, or even better at all than her, than Io Sky was this year. Maybe someone like Dominic Mysterio might be up there, because I don't think Dominic has had a bad stint on anything, because I think Dominic is doing really great, and I think he might be up there, but he's also been nowhere in the high pressure spots that Io Sky has been. He's the IC champion. Io was the world's women champion. So that might be a conversation. Is there anyone else I'm forgetting? You know what? Call me a fanboy, but I actually think the only person who I can really say is contending for this spot with Io is Seth Rollins. Now that I think about it, I don't think Seth has had a single bad match this year, or has had a single bad even promo this year. We cannot forget his work in the triple threat at WrestleMania, the whole build up to that, and how he said everything he needed to say, but we didn't understand it. And later on, the Vision appeared. Some people say that Raw opening up with the Vision and closing with the Vision every single time is boring. Sometimes it does get boring, but Seth is really entertaining, and there's a reason they do that. Because people tune in to watch that. When you first open up the show, you're like, oh, I wonder what the Vision's doing this week. And when you're going into the main event, you're thinking, oh, what's the Vision doing this week? Again, really, they're really interesting, and I'm loving them so far. So I might say Seth Rollins over Io Sky. I still have to think about that. Women's Wrestler of the Year and Men's Wrestler of the Year, it's them two, in my eyes. It's definitely them two. Because I can't say Cody because of the dud at WrestleMania. I can't say John Cena, unfortunately. I can't say Roman. He's not been around too much. Definitely not Brock. Shamefully, not Drew McIntyre. And I don't think there's anyone else in that conversation. Again, apart from maybe Dominic Mysterio. But he's really low on the card compared to where you need to be talking about this. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Seth Rollins. Just want to point out that Matt Cardona is literally back in the WWE, but no one cares. Or hardly even knows, because it was just part of the TNA invasion. I think most people know. I've seen a lot of people talking about it. My whole feed on like Instagram and stuff is talking about it. Even here, like, you got like third biggest post of the week. People are talking about it. People know. The TNA invasion angle I'm really excited about. I really am, because I think it could be great. The talk up until this point, like the conversation between the audience, is how NXT is stealing everything away from TNA. And now we have the TNA fighting back, which I think could be really, really, really amazing. And also Matt Cardona, Zack Ryder, however you want to call him, he is back. And I think even more people will be talking about it once he has his first match in NXT. If that ever happens, hopefully it does. Because yeah, he's a huge star and I love seeing him back home. It's all about timing. Okay, here we have Gigi Dolan, who has been recently, a couple months ago, released from the WWE, and she talks about her conversations with Triple H and discusses the reason she's never been fully called up to the main roster. And I think she is really, really correct here. It's just about timing. If there's no place for you to come up, no matter how good you might be, we don't want to waste you. We don't want to waste your talent on the main roster when you have nothing to do. And I completely get this. Like, think of Julia right now. She's just been called up because she's really good. Call a spade a spade. She is on the past couple episodes of SmackDown. But still, she's doing nothing. She's the US champion, but she's doing nothing. And there's been so many cases of women getting called up, and even men, and them just doing nothing because they were just called up because of how good they were. And that's it. They didn't think about the timing, they didn't think about what do they do when they come up. Nothing like that. Nothing like that. And that's why I'm glad that they are taking their time with the likes of Oba Femi, with the likes of Trick Williams, especially with the likes of Ricky Saints, with the likes of Blake Monroe, because there's not currently anything for them to do on the main roster, so keep them down in NXT for a little bit, and when an opening shows up, move them up. That simple. And I'm really agreeing with this, and she doesn't seem butthurt that she's been released or anything. She's just calling a spade, saying, yeah, I just didn't, the timing was never right. The timing was never right, and that's about it. Completely get her. But now let's talk a little bit about Michelle McCool and her involvement in the Undertaker's podcast, because that's been a part of a lot of discussion recently on the interwebs. There's a lot of people calling her out for controlling Undertaker, for changing her story, for doing everything just to spite the fans, for getting rid of Matt, for a lot of stupid stuff, which I have a controversial opinion on all of this, because I don't necessarily think she ruined any or all of it, or whatever people might say. To address the first point, people are calling her irrelevant and that she never truly mattered, which, don't get me wrong, I don't think she's like the top 5 women in wrestling or something like that. But to call a 2-time World Women's Champion and 2-time Divas Champion irrelevant? I'm not so sure about that, especially when you think she was the first Divas Champion. When they created the championship, they trusted her enough to give her the belt for the first time, to make her the inaugural one, to make her make that belt mean something. Now, you can say about the Divas Championship whatever you want. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan, but the fact that the company did that, no matter what happened, shows you they had trust in her. And trust isn't something you just have. You have to earn it. And Michelle did earn it throughout the years. And people seem to disrespect her nowadays. And that was even before this whole drama with the podcast, because she's the Undertaker's wife and she's always gonna be known as the Undertaker's wife. Which I do kind of understand. When you're connected to a person like that, to one of the Mount Rushmore guys of WWE, of wrestling in general, you do kind of have to accept the fact that you are always gonna be Undertaker's wife. Unfortunately, I'm not saying that's how it should be. I'm just saying that's how it is. And she does seem a little butthurt about it. She does seem a little bit not okay with the fact that she's just been downgraded to Undertaker's wife, despite her accomplishments. And I do completely understand her. I really do. Now, the second factor people are talking about is how Undertaker basically left Matt in the dust. Look, they have talked about this a lot of times. Whoever's listened to the Undertaker's podcast knows, especially in the past, knows that Undertaker did not want to do this necessarily. They would often talk about how Matt always expected Undertaker to call him up and be like, hey man, I'm not doing this anymore. I can't. I'm bored. I don't want to do this. And The Undertaker was bored of it, and I'm sure he's still now, but now it's a little bit different. He doesn't have to worry about anything. He sold it to WWE or to Fanatics, I'm not sure which one. But he sold it over to them because he clearly didn't want to do it like that anymore. Like now, his only job is to come in after filming LFG, sit down, talk for an hour and a half, and leave. He has to worry about nothing. And one other thing, we've talked about Michelle McCool. Look, you can say whatever you want. You really can say whatever you want. But I know that if my wife, I don't have a wife, let's say I had a wife, if my wife had something she was really insecure about and something that really bothered her, I know I would do anything and everything in my power to help her deal with that. And that's exactly what The Undertaker's doing. He's like, okay, we're on WWE television. Matt, you might not be right for this. Michelle is, and also she's my wife. I'm sorry, you're my buddy. We're still friends, which Matt has openly said they are still friends. Look, we're still friends and all, but hey, I want to help my wife. I want to be there for my wife. I want to do anything in my power to be there for my wife. And people are mad at him. Like, why? Really? Why? But hey, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, check out some of my other stuff, and that's been about it. Thank you.